a Mohun Bagan fan?
Hi Nawab. Welcome to Sports Kabri, everybody. Welcome back to Iron Foot. Um, it's been sort of two crazy games, and we're going to sort of review both these games, and we have a small preview that we've planned for the Mumbai City game tomorrow. Um, Anubhav, first of all, how are you doing? Crazy game. First, we'll start off with the AFC Cup game between Odisha and Mohun Bagan, 5-2. An absolutely thrilling clash. So, yeah, what do you make of that? What's been up? What do you make of the game?
Good evening, everyone. And these are the nights of football that we like, that we love.
Yeah, I think just lost Arnav for a second, guys. Everybody in the chat, hello, welcome as always. Crazy game. Everybody in the chat again, please let us know what you made of the game. Mohun Bagan versus Odisha first, 5-2, absolute cracker. Odisha had a 3-1 lead in the first half, and then Mohun Bagan sort of came back, and then two more from Odisha towards the end, 5-2, and now the group has sort of gone crazy. We kind of predicted this, not predicted it, but we spoke about the contingency of this possibly happening a couple of days back, and it's happened. Arnav is back. Um, yeah, no, crazy game. I mean, where do we start? You were saying,
Again, we spoke about it yesterday. And if you look at Mohun Bagan Supergiant, if you look at Odisha FC, one will have to say that Mohun Bagan Supergiant have to be the favorite of winning that game. They took a lead from Hugo Bumus. And on the other side, masterclass Sergio Lobera, I would say. I mean, he outwitted, he outclassed Juan Ferrando. And this is what I've been saying also, even though I said yesterday that Mohun Bagan are going to win 2-1. Odisha seemed to be in their groove. Odisha seemed to be in their sort of zone. And I think, it's one of those crazy ones, because Mohun Bagan Supergiant have one of the best ever squads in Indian football. Of course, they now have some injuries, but still, a game like this is something that they should be winning. But again, Sergio Lobera and his team, and you see the experience that squad has, that the way they played the game, and on the other side, it's also I still can't believe that the end result that has come out of that game.
Arnav, we spoke about it. I mean, we spoke about what Mohun Bagan's priorities were, right? Coming into this game, you said that they came in with the expectation of doing well and going deep into the AFC Cup. It looks like things are not obviously going according to plan now. Even if they do end up doing well in the ISL, would you pin it down to be a bad season now because of what has happened in the AFC Cup?
For Mohun Bagan, it's a difficult one. I think, for the club, Shushmit, welcome, good evening, or good afternoon for you, or good morning rather for you, right? Still,
morning,
parts of the world. The club management came out with a clear-cut intention of saying, we want to win the AFC Cup. We not just want to play. we want to win this competition. We're building a squad. That's why Jason Cummings has been brought in. That's why Armando Sadico has come in. That's why you've retained Hugo Bumus. You've retained Dimitri Petratos, Brandon Hamill. You brought in Indian talent, Inna Sahal. You brought in Anirudh Thapa, Anwar as well. You've built a really very, very good squad. But this squad has not been playing to their potential. They've been getting results in the last few months. But I had the feeling that they're not really playing to their potential. They've been lucky. Jamshedpur as well, that 3-2. I feel that's a very, very lucky 3-2. I think Jamshedpur deserved to win that game. So therefore, it's been on and off. And Odisha has, again, shown the weaknesses of this team, despite Mohun Bagan still being the quality side that they are. And I don't know why. We had this discussion on Shine's channel the other day, discussion about Kian Nasiri. That's a good example why this boy has not been getting more minutes. I don't know what Shushmit thinks, but I feel, one of those examples of what you could have done differently despite having that star-struck lineup. But again, Shushmit, thanks for joining us at short notice.
Thank you. This is the first time I'm coming on
Yes,
this show.
but as someone who's a diehard Mohun Bagan fan, as someone who knows a lot of insights at the club, what's your first reaction? What's your feeling at the moment?
Uh, my feeling, I'm disappointed, distraught. But having said that, and this is something that I spoke about in Child's Channel too, is that there is a one has not been flexible. I understand that we haven't played to the potential, but at the same time, what I feel is that it is also his strategy to blame. Again, while I want to give him that benefit of doubt that he wants to establish a philosophy of how a team plays, how Mohun Bagan technically plays. But I as a supporter do not care about tactics that much as long as we are winning the matches, right? But whenever he went to Vasundhara or even today's match, I mean, I know the score must have come as a shock, but the last two goals, it was basically a 3-2. The last two goals, we had no other option but to go out and attack. And as a result of that, we conceded a couple of goals in counter, which is okay to me. The five goal does not worry me. Someone like Kian, I mean, bench after what he did today, benching him, in my opinion, I have wrote in on Twitter about it, is a criminal offense. They should give chance to Kian. He should have given chance to Suhail. Somehow I feel that, and even coming like someone like Cummings and all, I don't see the intent where you go out with a killer mentality. Or it's the Indian boys that probably understand what it means to play for Mohun Bagan. That they are playing with their hearts out. But apart from Hugo Bumo, who tried really hard today, uh, I think there is a time Mohun Bagan management should step back and think if we should continue with one. He Either we should have had gotten a defensive midfielder, because to play 3-5-2, right, yesterday, and this is something that I learned from a ex-footballer, was that when you play 3-5-2, and whenever it is very common that the opposition team is going to press on from the wings, and the center backs has to go and cover. The moment they go wide to cover, someone like a defensive midfielder needs to come down and cover that space, which unfortunately, like, again, I have been very critical about Glenn Martins, but the reason I've been very critical about him is that if he gets beat the first time, he doesn't chase the ball again. You could see the replay and something like that. This is something which, in this situation, I don't know what kind of a DM he is, but it's not going to work for us. So we either need to get a DM to continue playing 3-5-2, or we need to, a pragmatic approach would have been to change the formation. And it's not, I'm not asking that you play a different formation every day with different players, but at least there needs to be a plan B. What one is doing, it seems like, you have paid him. It's like a fixed budget project. You pay him once and he would give you a deliverable once. If I have to play 3-5-2 every day, then why do we need a coach? You might as well have anyone else play 3-5-2 every day, right? I mean, you need to adapt to the situation, and this is something that has come back to haunt us. And yes, AFC, we don't deserve to go to the next round of AFC. I have said multiple times that the group, yes, this is true that I expected that we would have gone to the second round, but I expected that we could do potentially well if we go to the second round, but that is out of question now. One of the downside has also been that we have been playing a lot of matches where there have been more injuries and all. But again, as a fan, from I think one does not appreciate the fact that he has got a fantastic management to back him up, a great set of supporters to back him up. I mean, in spite of him being constant, this is the ask from Mohun Bagan supporters to replace him. This is the first time that that people are raising questions. We have been patient with him for more, I think, from whatever he did last season and all, but it has changed now with transitioning from ATK Mohun Bagan and SG. All of the supporters have regrouped, and there is an expectation, and I don't think he has delivered. Uh, I think it's time for him to go somewhere else and try or
Okay.
experiment it out. We should get someone else. He has got enough chance.
There are a lot of suggestions in the chat as well. Lord Beke, Parmeshwar, all suggesting that it's probably
Mm.
time for Juan to go, and it's probably too big a job for him. Sushmit, I asked this question to Arnava yesterday and today. If Mohun Bagan say do well in the ISL, now that it looks like Mohun Bagan could be headed out of the AFC Cup group, their AFC Cup group,
Not could be. They will be out. There is
they
no
will
They're
doubt
be.
out.
about it.
They're out.
Yeah,
They're
they
out.
are out.
They're out.
Um, is it then an unsuccessful season as a fan? Are you looking at it and saying even if you do well in the ISL, would it still be an unsuccessful season?
Of course. I mean, you have to. I mean, see, I would have called it successful if we did all right, even if we wouldn't have won the second rounds, but we definitely wanted to go to the second round, and this was something that has been, as Orunavada was saying earlier, this has been something because uh, Mohun Bagan Supergiant management did not spend so much money just to win ISL, right? You have to get something worth of what you have paid for, and not going to the second round of ISL has disappointed. I mean, one has disappointed everyone, and I don't blame the players categorically because I see the intent, barring few like I don't know. Now there are questions that needs to be raised against Sadiku, Cummings, and all. So, and they can. I mean, people. I see people complaining about them going to Bangkok and all. But I want to mention that even Kian went to Bangkok. But look at what he did today. So it is probably.
But Shushmit, isn't that the question? Is again that players who come in with that pedigree, um, players who get that much of money, are under a higher level of scrutiny. Then, as you say, I mean, you and I have talked the other day about Kian Nasiri, and again, I go back to that. I've had the pleasure of playing with him at the
Yes,
CCFC many
yes,
years ago,
he has shown
and this
definitely.
talent, this boy is. For Indian standards, an exceptional talent, and I said I know other people laughed about it, but I still feel that he's one of the few who could take over the mantle of a Sunil Chhetri. Is that what he showed today? That he
Of
has
course,
that
of course.
potential.
Yes, there is. I think one is Kian is ready for first team football. He needs to be in the first team, not as a substitute, but as a starter. Same goes for whoever comes in the next, or even I don't know why something happens to one that he understands. Some same goes for Suhel Bhatt. I mean, when we have Suhel Bhatt and Kian Nasiri, I don't see a reason why someone like Sadiku and as I mean even Cummings why they should be around. We can just have one striker and have a defensive midfielder to you know chase have that spot. I mean Kian definitely needs to. He shows intent. He has that kind of intelligence in the pitch. It's a shame that even from a substitution perspective, he was brought in much later. If anyone who has watched the match must have seen like uh, how he had approached the game, and so there's no doubt about it. Why and even and this goes for I hope just not for Mohun Bagan. This also goes for someone like Igor Stimac. I hope he sees the match today and sees the potential in Kian and calls him up, because that guy deserves to be in Indian team in one form or the other. It's it's very unfortunate. Yeah, from what I've heard, that there could be there is potentially a meeting where one is called. So
That is bound to happen, right? I mean, after such
right,
a game of this magnitude, also, again, you correctly said it's a 2-3, and then of course those two injury time goals. But again, those injury time goals, that margin, people who did not see the match will always look at that margin, right?
right.
And that's the danger, right? You know, and I know how Kolkata sort of operates and works, and these results do
Kolkata
have a
operates.
massive impact.
However, I think he has only seen, and this is something that I wrote on Twitter too, that I think he is mistaking that love for our weakness. We do love him dearly, but at the same time, he cannot continue to disappoint us in every shape and form, right? I mean, I know when you are one goal up and all. I don't understand what is this rigidity, and why, where is this coming from? He should. I think one should introspect for wherever he goes, or if he continues to coach with Mohun Bagan. Is it worth being that rigid, and is it stopping him from being a great coach? He is a good coach, but I think this is his rigidity, or if he thinks that Indian football is he is too good for Indian football, that he continues to go on the path that he chooses to. But he needs to have a introspection, because this is not some. He's a young coach, and I wish him well. He'll probably do better somewhere else, but I think it is his rigidity that is pulling him down. Otherwise, he's a great coach. I have no complaint against him.
Sushmit, but where now for Mohun Bagan? Because of course you yourself a fan are asking the questions, and a lot of other fans are asking the question, where now?
So, my if you ask me, this needs to be a multi-year project where where we already have a great set of team players that are bound by a long-term contract. We need a coach on our one hand that can, first of all, that can get us to the mark to at least get the ISL. Otherwise, I we can't take even ISL for granted, right? See, that's an also ISL Super Cup. It is very important that we do well, and at the same time we also scout players, give chances to, because Mohun Bagan also has a good reserve team that we are not taking advantage of. We, in the process, we build players and have more depth, because the depth that we have, it is not being reflected. We should be able to, and I think it is time even from BSG management to look at nurturing domestic talents rather than, because it has already been proven, and this was, I mean, bound to happen. And I think all ISL teams should take a cue that spending a humongous amount of money does not guarantee success. Yes, you do need to spend a lot of money to have a good squad depth, but at the same time, it cannot be a mindless thing. That's also something. The people who have, from what I have heard, Juan was calling all the shots in terms of the team, picking who stays and who goes. But yeah, I mean, they need to rethink that whatever this project that they have uh, done, it is, we need to we need to just get past this.
Arnava, then what about you, Arnava? Where do they go from here?
Looking at the dynamics and looking at what was said by the management before the start of the season, I think it is very, very likely that it's the end of the road for Juan Fernando at Mohun Bagan today. I think that was, that's most probably it, because Juan Fernando as a coach, as good or as bad as he is, I also feel that he has not really been able to connect as much as he could have or should have with the fans, I feel. And I think what Shushmit said also with his with his assessment, I think, of certain things. If you see his press conferences, I felt maybe he was not up to the task, because again, it's a lot of coaches who have done well at other teams, have gone to big teams, and have not been able to achieve what they could have with the potential that they have. And that 2-5, again, Mohun Bagan conceding 5 goals happens very, very rarely. I think that's something that needs to be understood from a from a psyche perspective, and it's that's the side. But again, if I look at it from another side, Odisha were dead after 2 matches in this group, losing the first match 4-0 at home to Mohun Bagan, and on the other side, Sergio Lobera proves again, if you give him time, if you give him also the money to spend to bring in that quality, he's gone for the experience, and that experience paid off today. Diego Mauricio, Roy Krishna, who again, certain people at the time, ATK Mohun Bagan, said Roy Krishna is no longer good enough. I think also he had a point to prove today, I guess. Ahmed Jahu in there, also the Indian contingent over there. That was a Lobera masterclass. And again, I think experience also on the coaching front, Lobera versus Fernando showed that Lobera is, at this moment, was and still is a better coach. I remember the semi-final, Mumbai City versus FC Goa, where he had also outwitted him, and then brought in Purba Lachempa in the penalty shootout and other things. So I think, so therefore, great respect for Odisha for such a performance. I mean, very few teams can go to Kolkata and get, it's not just the result, but it's also how they set up, how they played the game, how they got the result in the end, especially in that first half. I thought, okay, Bumu scores the 1-0. Okay, it's going to go its normal way. Mohun Bagan is going to win this. Again, it looked like it. And then suddenly, boom, 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 they turn it around in the first half itself. Yeah. Mohun Bagan seemed to get back into the game in the second half. And you thought, okay, it's a 50-50. Maybe they can at least get a 3-3. It keeps the group potentially open, for them at least. And it's an interesting one. That, of course, in the end, again, Mohun Bagan had to go all out and had to risk everything. But Odisha winning in Kolkata in such a way, and I remember I was there last year when Odisha under Gomba won 4-2 against East Bengal. They were losing 2-0 against East Bengal. At halftime, they turned it around and won 4-2. So Odisha does have that knack, and again, it's a team to reckon with this season, not only in the AFC Cup, but also also in the ISL, because I think this will give them a huge mental boost. Huge mental boost.
We have to talk about Odisha, right? Yeah, Shushmit, you were saying something.
No, I was saying, Arunava, don't you think that Lobera also has one to thank because being so much predictable,
In a way, yes, but on the other side, Lobera is one of the best coaches in this league. And I think, no disrespect to Juan Fernando. Juan Fernando is a good coach, but I think I would rate Lobera. I would have rated him.
There's not much respect left for him.
No, but we should respect him. I think.
No, I understand. Today's a bad day for him.
And again, I would have said a few days ago, Des Buckingham, and especially Manolo Marquez, Owen Coyle, these guys. And Des Buckingham is a good example. Des Buckingham has failed and has learned out of his mistakes. And this is, I think, the point that you were trying to make as well, as I think he has not learned from his mistakes. This is a weird one, because you still have, whatever people will say, one of the best squads in this league, if not even the best squad in the league.
Absolutely.
And you have an attacking unit which should be destroying your opponents. And the question is, are Jason Cummings and Sadiku, and this is a question not only for Lobera, but for Fernando, but also for the Mohun Bagan Supergiant management, has it been wise to bring in these players? Because again, for me, Dimitri Petratos has been underrated, because that guy is the reason why Mohun Bagan, or ATK Mohun Bagan as they were called last season, won the Indian Super League. Without that player, you would have not won that cup. And that's the point of getting those two big names. Was it wise? Again, afterwards, uh, I don't know. Afterwards is always easier to talk about these things. But again, I think there are questions about tactics, about strategy that can be asked about Juan Ferrando. But I think the club management needs to ask itself also where these wise decisions in regard to bringing in these big names, rather than looking at players who might not have that big a name, but have the pedigree, who have
Yeah.
potentially performed in this league. Which you saw while last season Mumbai City was so good, because they brought in Rex Stewart, they brought in Jorge Pereira Diaz, they brought in Alberto Nogueira, right? Which again Odisha has done this season, right? They Ahmed Jahu, Murtada Fall on the market, signed them. Roy Krishna was not supposed to be signed. They wanted to sign Edu Garcia on the market, retain Diego Morrison. So therefore, that's the thing. That's an interesting one, and of course, people
There's
are
no
saying that.
method to madness. Last season, from what I hear, they played without a striker, and now we have too many of strikers and not have enough defensive midfielder. So when you talk about learning from mistakes, the moves clearly shows that he did not learn from the mistake, or he must have had something going on in his mind, which we are not, at least today, we are not able to comprehend. What's the
But
vision
but
that he
Shushmit,
has?
Shushmit, remember we had the conversation regard to defenders and defensive midfielders
Right, right,
before the
right.
start of the season, before the Durand
I
Cup
am
on
honestly
Shine's channel.
personally surprised that he kept on playing for 3-5-2. We do not have that situation. You can, and it is not like we, even from a reserve team, we have so bad. I mean, we do have some decent. I mean, let's say half decent player that you can try out at least. When you compare to other teams, reserve teams, right? We He could have had tried out. I don't understand. I'm not saying that go full defensive and all, at least have some kind of defensive screen, which they did not. And with three defend, and Hector, you'd say, is not the fastest one. Brandon Hamill is okay, but he's again not a very towering figure in the defense. With Anwar, all of them uh, like together, I would have still say that it is a decent chance, even with a good. Even I know a lot of people are saying that if we had Anwar today, we wouldn't have lost that match. I personally disagree. I think we could have still lost the match because we did not have a good defensive midfielder. Anwar Ali or anyone else, Anwar Ali could be very good, but he is not equal to two defenders. It is not humanly possible. We need to have.
And your defensive midfield. I think and Lord Beke mentioned Johnny Kauko. Uh, let's not even talk about Johnny Kauko. He's been injured for a while. I would have talked about Carl McHugh. I still don't understand why the club has released Carl McHugh.
And that too without a fee. He was just
Yeah,
released. I mean,
he
at
was
least get
released.
some money while you
It
do that if you don't like him.
it's to me it makes no sense, because again one of the unsung heroes of last season, and you see Carl McHugh at FC Goa, what an impact, what an influence he can have as a player. And this is something again, um, has again, is it the question? Of course, is not just Shushmit about has the coach lost the plot? Has the management also lost the plot? And just going out for names, because I remember we spoke about it before the season with all the names that they have. That Mohun Bagan is talking about winning the AFC Cup, but is an Indian club actually capable of getting so far in the competition? In the last time the
Yeah,
competition is going to be in that form?
yeah. I don't think it is easy for any Indian team to go even to play in the second round, because the difference between ACL and AFC, as I have said earlier in other forums, is almost nil, because a lot of teams that play for AFC Cup one year goes on to play ACL next year. So that difference isn't too much. Uh, I would have been happy just to be there, so that even to have a dream of going to the next stages, you need to play at that level. The second rounds, you need to be a regular at second rounds for every year. Then you get that hang of it, and then you someday would achieve something like that. Other than that, whatever happens statistically is always an outlier. I mean, we might get lucky once every 10 years or so, but we are not going to go anywhere. I mean, that is, I wouldn't say that's a true reflection of Indian football. So that's one thing about it, and it's I honestly don't know what to say. I mean, he seems like, in Bengali there is something called the Boroloke Boundule Chile, where they just spoiled brat who has a lot of whose father has a lot of money, who wants him to be that spoiled brat who has a lot of money and all the uh, expensive toys, but he just doesn't know what to do with it. So I'm distraught, but again, I hope that I don't mind if we don't. I mean, we do want to win the domestic trophy, but again, from what I have learned over following the football for over 20-25 years, is that at least we should have a proper vision on what we are trying to achieve. That seems to be very blurred right now. We don't know what we are doing. We are either we don't have a project of bringing up. I understand that you could also have a theory that you don't want to develop players. You just want to buy it from somewhere else. But at least I mean, make wise decision while bringing in star players. But that is also not something that they're doing. Get the best players if you have the money, but at least have a team that actually works.
Yeah.
That is one issue. Hopefully, Jason Cummings also. I know, to me, Jason Cummings doesn't seem that much invested in the team. Honestly, whatever we have achieved so far, it looks like it's the domestic boys that have done Indian boys that have done very well. So
Yeah. Fair enough.
One point that I see from Lord Beke saying, Mohun Bagan has gone for the big players and Goa Odisha for players that fit into the system.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the difference, I think.
Agree and disagree, because up to last season, I would have agreed to it. But this season, they've also gone for names, right? For established ISL players, be it domestic or be it foreign. So they've spent money. To just say that Goa and Odisha have not actually spent money, but actually have gone for strategy, is in my opinion, at least, is not right. And of course, they have gone also spent money on quality coaches, right? They've upgraded themselves to two of the best coaches that have worked in the Indian Super League. Manolo Marquez and Sergio Lobera are amongst the best in this league, and that is, I think, a very valid point that that it is something that it is not always about names, and this is something which I've felt. Shushmit, correct me if I'm wrong. This is like old style Kolkata clubs when they used to, in the 80s and 90s or even earlier, rather go for a name than go if does this player fit into my system? Does he fit into the squad? And I think there are 2 or 3 players that Mohun Bagan has released over the last 2 years. I said in the summer, Carl McHugh. Even bigger one, I feel, Preetham Kota. I think Preetham Kota kept the dressing room together. And I think those are the factors where, very good example is the national team. The influence and importance of Sunil Chhetri for the Indian dressing room. Whatever he does on the field, he's a legend. But I think a lot of people don't know what an influence Sunil is, because Sunil is the kids think of him as being a legend, a star. But Sunil is like an older brother, sometimes maybe even a father now to some of the younger boys, right? And Rahul, you'll relate to it at BFC as well. That's the importance that Sunil has. And this is something where is there really a team at Mohun Bagan? Because I've brought in class players, that have quality, but are they really team players? To me, Jason Cummings is not a team man. Sadiko is not a team man. Hugo Bumus is not a team man.
you see, with Preetham Kotal, I think I'll try to answer that. For Preetham Kotal, I think there was a question about whether he will be a guaranteed first team football. Because when Anwar came in and when we had I mean someone like Hector that was on his way in. From what I've heard, that Hector Yutse was someone that has been scouted a couple of years back. They tried earlier but could not get him. But so when they were talking about Hector Yutse coming in, we have Brendan Hamill and all. Uh, I think Pritham saw that it was a prudent move for him to move to somewhere where he would be guaranteed first team football. So it is also not about spending money. It is also about what the aspirations of footballers are. That's where the
Agree.
issue is, which is why Pritham decided to leave, and Mohun Bagan was definitely not very eager to have him from whatever reason that is unknown to me. Uh, that's one thing, and for the other players, you see, uh, for Cummings and all again. Yes, they do not, and I don't know if this is a foreigner thing, that they don't understand what they are expected of and what is at stake. Because even it seems like they they might be trying, but if they are not getting uh, the correct balls and all. But if they have to practice harder and all, technically I don't know what it needs to be, but it is for sure that the coaching staff has not taken care of that issue. I think Juan was so much hung up on this playing this 3-5-2, right? That he has lost the bigger picture that no one goes to see, what formation you are playing. You ultimately need a team and you need to win stuff. Uh, there, yes, we have been bailed out multiple times due to individual brilliance, which works in our favor, and that can work. Even today, Hugo I'd say he did a good job, decent job. I mean, good job if I may. But at the same time, Sadiku, I don't. He seems to try a lot, but he ends up. He's like a student, who studies 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours every day for the year, and still manages to get only not fail in his annual exam. So I
Yeah.
don't know how patient can we be. The problem with Kolkata football is that there is a lot at stake. So and fans are not patient, and especially if you go to bigger clubs everywhere, we it, fans are generally. I had mentioned this earlier that people talk about why Mohun Bagan or East Bengal not grooming players from the grassroots. While I agree that we should, the problem is that we just do not have that kind of ecosystem where you can give chance to a player, uh, because even if you talk about Vaichung Bhutia, right? Vaichung Bhutia, although he came in as a new player, he delivered from day one. You need those kind of players. And historically, whoever we call as our own has been initially groomed by some other club that not a lot of people know, and then they have flourished here, and we call them our own. So that has been the issue. I don't see that changing in near future. So uh, we have to be cognizant of that fact and have to plan accordingly. See, there are pros and cons to it, right? I mean, even so, for example, even from a fan culture, Kerala VFC has a different fan culture, which sometimes with so many people coming in. With Kolkata and all, they have a different. We have a lot to unlearn too, which is very difficult, especially from coming from these legacy clubs. So with that needs to be planned properly. It is. I would not, and I don't know again what the situation is. If it was one who has decided all this exit and new players being inducted to the team, then he has to take the blame and take off. I mean, and go out. But if it is also imperative, and I think the MBSG management should take it as a lesson to maybe take whatever a coach says, take it with a pinch of salt. Uh, the problem again with Kolkata football is that it is, and this is for both the bigger clubs, is that we put anyone in pedestal very quickly, and they think of it that they are God. So we also need to be very careful about that. Otherwise, it will come back and bite us. Uh, that is where the issue is. Otherwise, see, if you have the money and all, I don't know. As a coach or whatever, won't you? I understand where you are coming if you are that. But don't you think that he has that sense of power that I have won the ISL? I'm at a high. I have a supply of unending money. Unending supply of money. Why not get the whatever I can get?
See, Shishmit, I'll tell you an example, an own example. In 2014, when we started Mumbai City, and I was sitting on the draft, and everyone looked at us and said, "Oh, you guys have a lot of money." I said, "Yeah, we have a money. Of course, we can try and do something, but we as Mumbai City want to try and build a good team." And if I see, our problem was that in that year we were looking to sign certain coach or certain coaches rather, some really good names. But due to different reasons, mostly family matters, they didn't sign for the club. So I had to sit with my technical team on the draft, and I think we did a good to a very good job. But it was a team according to my thinking that I built, and after that only we brought in the coaches, and that did not match, and that happens. There are loads of clubs around the world, some of the biggest clubs in the world, where the management has a say on which player to sign, yes or no. Right? The coach, of course, has a say as well. But to me, again, as far as I know, Cummings and Sadiku were not signing from Juan Fernando. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but those were big signings coming from the top of the club. So therefore,
yes, Cummings, I would say so, because Cummings, I think the club wanted to make a statement that we have arrived. So in the bigger thing, I think that I agree with you. But 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 at the same time, what surprises me is, as I said, that they left. I mean, one let Carl go, and without any transfer fee, anything like that.
it's not just Carl. It's Carl. Again, you've got multiple players. David Williams, I felt delivered whenever you called on him. Carl McHugh can be named. Pritham Kotal can be named. Before that, most probably I would have said even a Probit Das has had his moments.
Yeah, for Probit, I think the situation was different. Probit has had some internal problems with the management.
I know that was it. But again, it's too many outgoings of players where you think, again, even though some of the players who've come in have shown, and we talk especially about the Indians, that they are quality players. Anwar Ali, before his injury, showed that he's India's best centre-back. Sahal Abdul Samad has evolved, has developed massively since his time from Kerala Blasters. Right. And I think Lord Beck, yes, Putea as well, but Putea is someone, again, that's a different
question.
They'll
go Naurem. Naurem was to Jamshedpur. I personally like Naurem a lot because he was part of the I-League team.
And Nongdomba, I remember that brilliant goal for the Indian Arrows, which you should
never forget. He did it actually the same goal in Calcutta Football League too.
Yeah.
He is extremely talented. So he deserves to be. But with Nongdomba, I can understand because we had too many players in the
wings
midfield, so it made sense. I was sad, but I would have loved if he would have stayed back. But I can understand he needs to flourish somewhere else, and that is absolutely fine. But
I think again the question is that been asked about defensive tactics or not. I think Juan Fernando is someone he was playing defensive. If you look at last season with a lot of close games and all, but his intention, even if you go back to FC Goa, that he wants to play an attacking brand of football. And I go back to a general thing that I've said is that very often with Indian players, a three-man backline does not very often work. Right? And that's something, again, and you've got so many right back, left back, this, that, everything. You have players in those positions. If you play a four-man back, put in two defensive midfielders. And let the rest
attack. It might, if you have a phenomenal, very good defensive midfielder, someone, and having a very good defensive midfielder is also very rare, especially Indian domestic players. There aren't many, and to have a good signing who is, because that's a very underrated position. You would probably not see him, uh, especially even when we did well. Thapa actually, Anirudh Thapa did pretty well, but no one noticed him. It's just that position is like that. But yeah, I mean 352, but I thought that they had got ample time. We have got Durand Cup, so there is nothing to complain about. I mean, we could have started a week or so earlier in terms of preseason, I would have said. But other than that, as a management, what I don't know, as a management and supporter, I'm at a loss of words. That what else can I do? I supported you, everything, but I mean, we are Mohun is consistently, we have had supporters 20 plus thousand supporters every match that we have been to, sometimes even touching 30,000 for a major part, I would say, on major games. So he cannot complain that he did not, anywhere Mohun plays, the supporters will show up. The We can't blame management. I think I don't know, Robert, do you think it is also important that Mohun Bagan SG thinks about having a strong backroom staff in terms of scouting? Uh, Having a scout, a proper scout in any ISL team, I don't know. I don't think we have that position at all in an ISL team. It's mostly either the management team guy, folks, or the coach that, or agents that play that role. But
Head of football. I think what Mohun Bagan needs, and you've had at ATK in the past. Sujay Sharma, who's now at Mumbai City, was with ATK in the past. I remember I saw him now 4 years ago in Kochi at the start of the ISL, the match that Mohun Bagan unluckily lost 2-1 against Blasters. So you've had these kind of people. The question is, there are too many management people, I feel, around. I think that you need a little bit more technical, you know, within your management group. I think Rahul's club, I think BFC is very, very good in showing how you've done it, even though you have had people who have transformed from management to sporting. Manda Tamane is a very good example. Now you've brought in someone like a Darren Caldera with his knowledge, with his understanding of Indian football. I think that is something which Mohun Bagan needs, and also someone who can stand in there and say, guys, calm and quiet. I know a lot of pressure, but uh, um, uh, that's the kind of guy you need, and that's the thing. You have to look at how you built the club. I think, and I think that's something, that's the challenge that a club of the stature of Mohun Bagan Supergiant have with the entity that they are now. That
right, right.
there is legacy, there is tradition, but there's a modern way of running football. And you and I have had this discussion personally quite a lot,
Absolutely,
which is
absolutely. I
which is
think
the biggest
we are
struggle, I think,
burning a
from
lot of money. It is becoming a
yeah.
money pit. We are burning a lot of money for nothing. That's something I wish, and this is in my interest as a Mohun Bagan fan. It is also in the interest of Indian football that we have a proper structure. Trying to do something without a proper structure, proper qualified backroom staff can also, because I would think that someone must have questions. I don't know what role does Havas play, if he's just a tick mark in the box that you need a TD to have a ISL team, or if he is actively participating. Uh, Someone should have questioned that why are you playing constantly 3-5-2? I mean, what, at least come up with a good answer, if not anything. So things like that. I think with Kolkata football, it's a tricky situation because you need to be a narcissist, because otherwise you will be, and especially handling this type of teams, and we have seen in history, and that if unless you are a narcissist, you will, the fans and everyone's expectations are going to just bury you. So, uh, but at the same time, you also need to have you have to be narcissist in one hand, but also pragmatic in another, so that you know
And
what you're.
that is the challenge. I think it's easier for a BFC. I think, again, Rahul, I mean, you've fallen in love with the club a few years back. VFC is a very, very good example, a club which is a little over 10 years old. FC Goa was mentioned. I think FC Goa has evolved and developed, and FC Goa has kept its sort of tradition from year one under Zico. They said, hey, we want to play a certain brand of football, attacking football,
So
which
that,
is your Forza Goa that way. I think if I look at, I'm very happy to see how Mumbai City has evolved over the last, nearly decade in with the ideas and thought process we had in year one. And again, a lot of this was taken forward by Watson. It's now been taken forward by Sujay, with the help of City Football Group. The Kerala Blasters are being mentioned, and who are giving their young players a chance. Who would have thought that Sachin Suresh will ensure that Prabsuk and Gill will be forgotten? Vibin, Ayman, other players who are sort of breaking through the system over there. So we've got a number of examples. Odisha are trying to build something. I think Odisha is a very, very interesting project to see in regard to, of course, we see the first team. We see also the women's team as well on the other side. Northeast United, with a few changes, tweaks here and there, the worst team of last season suddenly is a contender for top six. It can happen. But then you see, again, Mohun Bagan, high spenders. On the other side, you see East Bengal struggling again, and Carlos Kudrat already coming under pressure, even though I still feel that it's a good example that someone needs 2 or 3 transfer periods to turn East Bengal around. It's its own discussion, and on
yeah.
Science Channel, I think there've been tons of discussions, hours and hours of that. And, and that's, I think, the biggest challenge. If you see Mohammedan Sporting again spending a lot, looking to win the I League to get into the ISL, but look at other teams, Gokulam Kerala, Srinidhi Deccan, who are more structured, who are getting their house in order to be ready to play ISL. Look at Round Glass Punjab, where I proudly say that was involved as well. So therefore, there are a number of examples, but again, Kolkata is a bubble of its own. It's an own football ecosystem, and I think that's on a day
I think
like this,
investor won't
yeah,
survive on now if they don't spend enough. That this is already having with the East Bengal is also having that issue. Although they are spending 30 crores plus, which is and there are clubs that have spent less than them and that doing well. They are there. There has always been this comparison that if Mohun Bagan is spending 70 crores, East Bengal fans are happy that we are not succeeding even without playing. I mean, having a team of 70 crores and Mohun Bagan. So this, I mean, I hate to say it, but we are pulling each other down. And in a way, I am also happy as an Indian football fan. Is that sooner or later this also comes out as an example that just paying high bucks does not give you guaranteed success. It is
Yeah.
important. We have to come out of that mindset from a Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, or Kolkata clubs, that we have to come out of that mindset and have players of our own. We need to put the money where we can get something back out of from it. So that is something we have to do it eventually. Maybe this will be a learning. Hopefully, the team management learns from that. And I have heard at the start of the season that they had a plan of having an academy or something sort of which is a big thing, and that we never heard of after that. But I hope that that comes into fruition, and I am ready to take a beating, for a season or so, to if they bring in players, and at least we have this process. And you might as well play 3-5-2. I am not against that thing, but at least have those players or have us. So then also has to be a top-down approach, because Kolkata Football League, we are not paying 3-5-2. Bastav Roy has his own set of things, and if I would like to see that from a bottom-up approach, everyone doing the same thing, from an academy player, under 13, under 17, then that is when someone who comes at under 21 level will be able to. It should not be, we talk about, a player coming from reserve to first team, whether they will be able to cope up and match up. This shock happens when you are coming from one system and then going to another, which is of a contrast, where there is no, which is very different. If it's the same style and all those kind of things, I mean, I hope that we develop those kind of things, and for that, as Arnavada mentioned, we need either, I don't know who does it, a head of football or a TD, someone at a executive management level who understands what they're doing. So,
Yeah. Guys, fair enough. I think I had a good sort of chat about Mohun Bagan and sort of expectations from both of you about what the club should be like and what should happen ahead. Only fair that we touch upon the ISL game as well, which happened was quite thrilling. Good last 15 minutes in that game as well. It was Goa who ended up beating Jamshedpur 1-0 at home. I know I remember you called it, you thought it'd be a more comprehensive victory. To be fair, Goa had the chances, hit the woodwork, I think, a couple of times. Um, but in the end, 1-0, there was an offside call, which there was a disallowed goal because of an offside call. Stevanovic in the way of the keeper, which is why it was given. Debatable, of course, like as most of these offside decisions are. But 1-0 in the end, Arnava, Goa top of the league.
Well, I mean, we just spoke a little bit about Manolo Marquez and the capabilities he has as a coach, and the squad he has at his disposal. I think that should not be forgotten. I think FC Goa have gone into the market, brought in the right players. It's interesting to see how Sandesh Jingan, for example, is playing in that back line. Carl McHugh is in there, and Noah Sadui. Of course, we saw certain glimpses of him last season, but now he seems to be more consistent on that front as well. So therefore, yeah, it's a top side. It's a quality side, and Goa will be challenging for trophies this season. And that's a given. And Jamshedpur, I think, is being beaten a little bit under value. I think in they lost very unluckily against Mohun Bagan, as I said earlier. Didn't get a result against East Bengal that way as well. So they've got a few matches where you think, be it also at the Blasters where they lost, that they could have gotten a result. And this is something that Steve Cooper has a team with a number of sort of lesser known players, but they just need, I think, 2 or 3 good results go their way. Maybe 2-3 matches unbeaten or something of that sort, and then get their season up and running, and maybe they can challenge for top 6, because I think that team has that quality to potentially challenge for the top 6. But again, if you don't get the results, it's going to be difficult.
I completely agree with you. I think there's one of those sides that have been unlucky. I think today as well, unlucky because in the probably 87th, 88th minute, you have a disallowed goal, 1-1. You're suddenly looking at it and thinking, wow, okay, fine, that's a great result for Jamshedpur, going away from home, getting a point against Goa. They're doing well. I think these fine margins have sort of not gone their way. These are small moments in games. And it was another one today, and there was another late call in today's game where Stevanovic goes down, penalty, but he's offside. So just these small little moments, I think it starts clicking for them and starts working. They will do well, and hopefully they can go an unbeaten run and sort of challenge for the top 6, because they certainly have the potential. But on the other hand, Goa, Arnava, because they're just flying on top of the league. They have got a game in hand against we've got a game in hand from the Blasters. Blasters have played 7, Goa 6. Then you got Mohun Bagan, who played 4. Of course, they won all 4 of their games in the ISL. So, yeah.
It's an interesting table. I mean, again, Goa deserve to be where they are at the moment, 5-1. I think that's a clear-cut stats at the moment. The Blasters also are there where they belong. But all these teams will be really tested when they go away from home. I think that's going to be the real test. When they go away from home, can they get these kind of results? Same, again, Mohun Bagan winning at Jamshedpur, it was quite impressive, that day. Same can be said about Mumbai City. I think Odisha will get a bit of momentum out of today's win as well. So therefore, I think we've got those 5 teams, which I would think are sure candidates of going into the playoffs, and the rest of the league sort of fighting for the one final spot. Potentially, maybe things might change in a few rounds, but at the moment it looks like these are the teams. And then you have Northeast, Chennai, Bangalore, East Bengal, Jamshedpur, who are thereabouts. But Jamshedpur has now lost 3 in a row. That's something that one should not forget. So therefore, they are a bit under pressure. And then, of course, you have Hyderabad and Punjab, of course, who are still winless this season. So therefore, we've got sort of 3 zones in this league. But it's an exciting competition. So therefore, we look forward. And again, tomorrow is a break, and then on Wednesday we have a Southern derby: Blasters versus Chennai. The Blasters flying high at home. Adrian Luna, of course, being the standout player for them again and again. And that's why these and again, it doesn't end with that, because then you've got on Thursday BFC versus Punjab, where BFC is under
Need a
pressure.
win.
I think if BFC doesn't get a win, I'm interested to see if Simon Grayson does come under even more pressure. He is already under pressure. And on Friday already, Jamshedpur, Odisha. So Odisha don't go back home, travel from Kolkata to Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur under pressure. And another interesting one on Saturday, Mohun Bagan have to travel to Hyderabad. So that's an interesting one. And not to forget, I'm doing the whole week, Sunday, Super Clash. Goa versus Kerala at the moment, 1-2.
Best game of the week. Should be the game of the week.
It could be. Again, we have had a lot of surprises. Odisha has been part of some excellent games, be it against Goa, be it against Mumbai. So therefore, Jamshedpur Odisha could be an interesting cracker of a game, because we are expecting Odisha after that 5-2, big chest. Yes, I'm now, we now let's attack the top of the ISL. Jamshedpur need to prove something, but if Jamshedpur lose this, it becomes difficult. So therefore, it's an interesting one to see and look forward to.
Fair enough. Lord Becky has been asking this for a while. Talk about Mumbai now, and we are finally going to talk about Mumbai, because Mumbai are in action tomorrow. AFC Champions League game against Nasaji Arnawa. We spoke about this yesterday, but again, one day before the game, expectations from this one.
I wouldn't go too deep into sort of expectations and what is needed, what you want, because I think Mumbai City, again, Des Buckingham's just gone. You have traveled without your foreigners, so it's not the first time they've done it. They did it in the Super Cup as well earlier this year. But again, I think it's a little bit of a political reason, because of the nationalities that your foreigners have with the tension in the Middle East. But it gives a chance for the younger Indian boys to get a chance to show themselves. And again, Nasaji also, showed their class in Pune when they won 2-0. So I hope that these boys utilize this exposure and learn a few things, show a few things, and maybe I think, forget winning. I still think that even getting a goal, I think, for Mumbai would be good, because you realize, compared to last season, this season, the Champions League is at a different level in Asia, and it's crazy. For example, in 7 minutes, Al Nassr's game will be shown here in Germany live on television, Asian Champions League, which I think is the first. It's on Sport 1 or Sports 1. That's historic, and that shows what the growth of the Asian Champions League, especially via the Saudi clubs and the players have come in. And for Mumbai City, it's a learning experience. But again, let's see what Hero and Anthony can do, and get hopefully a good result out of Mumbai City.
Yeah, Mehtab suspended Arnawa, of course. Who do you see then taking part in central defense tomorrow?
I think there's a gentleman who's played well for India the last few matches, Rahul Beke. Huh? So I potentially see Rahul Beke now playing centre back for Mumbai City as well. I don't know. Maybe Vinit Rai drops back as well. It's going to be an interesting one how they structure it, because again, then missing the foreigners is one, missing Mehtab as well is another one. So therefore, a lot falls on Rahul Beke, a lot falls on Changte. A lot is also expected of Puya, Vinit Rai. There's this Yeah. So therefore, would be interesting. Right back, maybe Sanjeev Stalin. I don't know. I think Sanjeev Stalin would be a candidate for me to play as right back. So and again, the options are there. Gurkirat could play there. Ayush Chikara could also play there. So you've got options, of course. Different. It's not Pereira Diaz, but Pereira Diaz also has had his chances, couldn't score in the Champions League. One has to be honest about that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe an Indian forward, be it Ayush or be it Gurkirat, maybe score. Maybe Changte, Bipin is there, Vikram is there. So it's going to be an interesting setup how they set up tomorrow. So hoping for the best for Mumbai City.
I think it'd be really nice to see an Indian score that first goal for Mumbai in the Champions League tomorrow as well. Like Lord Becky, I think we're also excited to see an all-Indian lineup, and keep your eyes out tomorrow for the lineups before the game, because it's going to be an interesting one, because clearly there are options, and it'll be interesting to see what Mumbai City go with, and without Des Buckingham, of course, without a head coach. I don't know who's on the sidelines then tomorrow for Mumbai.
The Japanese assistant coach and the Indian assistant coach, they will be jointly running the show because so far Mumbai City has not announced their potential replacement. So they're working on something. Let's see if that comes true, but it will be interesting to see. Lord Beck has put out a lineup. Let's see. Purba, yeah, Stalin, Beke, Valpuya, interesting. I thought Nongtu might be an option. Mishra, Apuya, Vineet, Changte, Vikram, Gurkirat.
Is that 10?
Yeah, I'm still missing one.
Yeah, there's one missing, Lord Becky, but
another.
Midfield.
You're missing one player. So I would have said Bipin, maybe Bipin. I don't know. Maybe that's the one that's missing. Or Salem might be another one. But again, it will give a chance to the youngsters, and I think also on the other side, Mumbai City have been traveling a lot, so I think resting the foreigners as well is not bad, because your focus shifts back to the Champions League as well. So from the Champions League to the ISL as well. So therefore, that's another thing to think about and to consider as Mumbai City.
Absolutely. All right, Adva, it's been good. It was a very interesting and very sort of nice conversation that we had about Mohun Bagan. We had Sushmit, of course, on giving us a fan perspective for what it looks like from a fan's perspective. Yeah, I don't know. You're saying.
And a special thank you to Sushmit at short notice after that hard loss to come and join us and be as honest and as frank as he always is. And that's, I think, I think that's something as part of our developing fan culture. We need to be honest about our own clubs as well. We can't be blind about certain things, and certain hard-hitting facts. And someone had written, I'm happy that from the inside today. No, I'm not, because when it is Asian competition, I want Indian clubs to be successful. It doesn't matter which club it is, and it would have been more likable if on the last match day Odisha and Mohun Bagan still were fighting it out, whoever goes through. So therefore, that would have, that's what I also expect us as a growing fan culture also, to support Indian teams when they play in Asian competitions. It doesn't matter Mumbai City, Mohun Bagan, Odisha, or the others who played in the past. We need to support the teams, and that's the only way. That hopefully Indian club football, Indian clubs will grow, and that's needed. This failure of Mohun Bagan falls back on Indian football. It's a failure of Indian club football. It's not a failure of just Mohun Bagan itself. That's the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if we weren't able to take enough chats, I know Parmeshwar pointing out, but I think wanted to get the fan perspective today. Wanted to let, of course, Mohun Bagan, of course, they suffered it was an important game, and sort of suffered that defeat, and want to get his Sushmit's perspective thoroughly today, and that's why we did it. But yeah, thanks Arnav for joining. Thank you everybody again in the chat for joining today. Please do like and share these videos. Subscribe to all the channels: Sports Khabri, Arun Food, Indian Food and Football, and Curious Harry. We'll have Hiren and Chan back soon in a couple of days or maximum 3. No ISL games tomorrow, but we have Asian competition, Mumbai City in action in the SA Champions League. So keep your eyes out for that one, and do watch the game and let us know your thoughts after the game. Good night, Arnav.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And one more fact. Rahul and I did a small chat on India's chances regard to the third round qualification of India for the FIFA World Cup. We put it out tomorrow. So guys, do watch it. Our analysis of what India needs to do to get to the third round of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. I think a lot of us, or most of us, or nearly all, were disappointed after the 3-0 loss of Qatar. But again, I think now it's to look forward, and hopefully that also happens. So therefore, keep out on the content. We're not doing only lives, we're also trying to do other content as well. Rahul and I, a few days ago, also spoke about the impact of Arsene Wenger's visit to India. I think that's a big thing that has happened. And we'll be doing this in combination of doing sort of analytical pieces besides these lives. So do follow us and keep watching Sports Khabari, Arun Foot, Indian Food and Football, as well as Curious Harry. And always, as we say, like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to all the channels. Let us grow together and let us grow Indian football.
Yeah.